Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about ciliary ganglion. So before going to ciliary ganglion, we have to know what is ganglion. Ganglion is a cluster of neurons located outside the central nervous system. So it works as a relay station where the signals can be processed or passed along. Ganglia are a part of peripheral nervous system. So there are two types of ganglia, sensory ganglion and autonomic ganglion. So what is synapse? Synapse is a junction between two neurons where one neuron communicates with the other. It is nothing like a handshake between two neurons. There will be one presynaptic neuron which is sending the message and the postsynaptic neuron which is receiving the message. And neurotransmitters are like words or signals that can be exchanged during a handshake. And the synaptic cleft is a gap between them, like the space between two hands about to shake. So we can say it is a generally synapse is a handshake of the nervous system. So synapse is a junction between two neurons where one neuron will communicate with other. It can be electrical or chemical signals can be transmitted. So chemical synapse is most common. Here neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and dopamine are used. And electrical synapse is direct ionic current flow. Here it is rare in humans. So it is where electrical or chemical signals are transmitted from presynaptic to postsynaptic neurons. So there is functional difference between the fibers that synapse in a ganglion and the fibers that pass through without synapsing. The fibers that synapse in a ganglion, just like a parasympathetic fibers in a ciliary ganglion, this actually whenever the fibers synapse in a ganglion, they bring signals to the ganglion. The synapse happens inside the ganglion and a post-synaptic neuron carries the signal to the target. So it acts as a relay station and modulation point where the signal changes hands. So the signal from the presynaptic ganglion will be exchanged here in the ganglion and it will be transmitted to the postsynaptic ganglion to the effector organ. So it acts as a relay station. So the fibers which do not synapse in the ganglion, like sensory fibers and sympathetic fibers in ciliary ganglion, these fibers pass straight through the ganglion without any interaction inside it. So they just use this ganglion as a shortcut, not as a relay point. Here there will be no exchange or processing of the signal. This is used in further things like where we see the clinical significance. So coming to the ciliary ganglion. Ciliary ganglion is a small parasympathetic ganglion. It is located in the apex of the near the apex of the orbit. It is responsible for innervating the eye muscles and structures, including the sphincter pupillae and ciliary muscles. It is located between the optic nerve and lateral rectus muscle and it is about 1.5 millimeters in diameter. It is actually lateral to the optic nerve and medial to the lateral rectus muscle. So coming to the roots, there are three roots of this. That is, first is parasympathetic root, next is sympathetic root and next is sensory root. Parasympathetic root originates from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus and from this it will transfer, so from the pathway is from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus in the midbrain to third cranial nerve, then to inferior division and motor root to the ganglion. They will synapse in the ciliary ganglion. This is the ciliary ganglion. The function is it will send the fibers to pupillary constriction, sphincter pupillae muscle for pupillary constriction and to the ciliary muscle for accommodation. So next is sympathetic root. It originates at the superior cervical ganglion and they will travel along the internal carotid plexus and through the ciliary ganglion. So this the pink color shows the sympathetic fibers. They will pass along the ganglion only, but they will not synapse. Inside the ganglion, but they will so from here they will directly supply the dilator pupillae and the blood vessels. Next is sensory root. Here the origin is at the nasociliary nerve. That is the first branch of the ophthalmic division. It is a branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. Pathway is sensory root passes through ciliary ganglion, but here also there will be no synapse. They will directly innervate the sensory part of the eyeball, that is cornea, iris and ciliary body. Nasociliary nerve is a branch of first part of trigeminal, that is the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve, that is 5-1. So coming to the branches, they will give the branches of this is short ciliary nerve, 6 to 10 fibers. They arise from the ciliary ganglion and they carry the postganglionic, parasympathetic, sympathetic and sensory fibers. So the parasympathetic, they will synapse in the ganglion. The origin is at Edinger-Westphal nucleus, and the structures innervated are sphincter, pupil and ciliary muscle. Sympathetic fibers, there will be no synapse here. Superior cervical ganglion is the origin, and the dilated pupillae and vessels are innervated. Next is sensory fibers. The synapse they doesn't synapse in the ganglion. The origin is at mesociliary nerve, and they innervate cornea, iris and ciliary body. So coming to this, what is the importance of this synapse? The synapse in the ganglion is important because whenever there is ciliary ganglion damage, the parasympathetic fibers, since they are synapsing, the target structures will be affected. If there is no synapse in the ganglion, there is no exchange, or no relaying of the signals. There is no modulation of the signals. So they will be directly innervating these structures. So these structures will be spared. So whenever there is ciliary ganglion damage, there will be dilation of the pupil because of the sphincter pupillae damage, and ciliary muscle will be damaged. But dilated pupillae muscles and vessels and sensory supply will be not hampered in cases of only ciliary damage. Whenever the damage is extensive only, these two structures will be affected. But otherwise, if it is only at the ciliary ganglion, only sphincter pupillae muscle and ciliary muscle are affected.